a little bit of winter. Um, and in fact, um, the next week or so looks like it's going to be the closest thing to winter that we get all year. Um, we may actually get some actual winter temperatures that might even get close to minus 20. Um, we may actually even have a day where the daytime high is below minus 10. Um, that would be winter in Canada. Um, but it looks like it's only going to be like 2, maybe 3 days at the most. Um, I'm just hoping it's not too bad on Thursday, because that's the day I want to go out to Ferndale for the curatorial show. What time is it? It's close to 10. Well, maybe closer to 9:30. I was up a little after 8. I didn't. I finished editing last night. I didn't finish watching everything and uploading everything. Um, I'm gonna spend the first couple of hours today watching some things. Um, I've put the videos that I can't monetize together into a playlist. Um, I guess these are the videos that are too edgy for YouTube. I'm gonna watch them and see if I can pull out a pattern. Some of them are obvious, like there's the one where I talk about Israel annexing Area C. It's not hard to figure out why I can't monetize that one. Um, there's one called Reflections on Suicide. It's probably just the title. Another one, it's I'm reacting to the Carthaginian genocide. I'm probably just dealing with people that are ignorant of history and don't like the word genocide applied to anything, especially anything that's not Jewish, and etc. Right? So it's these sorts of things. Like if I put up if I put up a reaction to the Armenian genocide, I'd probably get locked from advertising because um, we're taught that there's only one genocide in history, right? It's we live in a we're living through a dark age. Hopefully we get out of it, um, but like it the hopeful way to look at it is that we will look back and say that the dark age was a baby boomer phenomenon, right? That we went through this horrible period that started with the baby boomers, and it'll go away when they die. Meaning that we might people my age might be able to live to see sort of the tail end of our way out of it. But we're going to look back at this period from about 1965 to hopefully it's not much later than 2020 as this like period of like deep backwards ignorance. And we just have to hope that the damage that the boomers did is not too great to undo within our lifetimes, anyways. Like we're gonna have to we need to reestablish basic ideas of empiricism. We need to undo this concept of magic. Like we're talking like really backwards thinking that's established itself in a population glut. Um, Finding ways to reduce our population growth will help us, but ultimately it's just there's a lot of very very stupid people that were born in that period, or maybe it's not even fair to call them stupid. Maybe it's just fair to point out that the system was overwhelmed and wasn't able to provide for everyone because there were just too many people brought into existence too quickly for education systems to be able to adjust. Way too many people on the outside. Um, and this is the consequence of it. This preponderance of magical thinking. Um, what the hell was I talking about? I think I know I wanted to point out that we got a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow here. Oh yeah, I think I was just ranting about the. It's maybe a little bit of a leap in logic to jump my inability to monetize specific videos to a generational based dark age. Although there's probably something abstractly accurate in the connection. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to what I'm doing. It's gonna be a few hours of just watching. Um, I didn't even get to shower last night. And because I'm gonna go out on Thursday, I'm thinking I'm just gonna wait. Um, I'll shower either well. It'll be very early on Thursday morning. I mean, I suppose I could shower twice in a 48-hour period, but because I'm not doing anything, it doesn't really seem that fruitful. So I guess I am still sort of in this kind of quitting smoking. If the shower was a symbolic exit point, then I'm not there yet. But it will be soon, and I'm vegging for a few hours. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get something to eat, and then I'll get back to working on moving the Death to Koalas page over. How much am I gonna get done? I don't know. It's gonna take a while. It's clear. We'll see what I get to by in the next 48 hours. But by this time on Thursday, that'll be the next pivot point to determine where I'm going and what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got to the point in my Ancient Aliens Debunked film here where they are talking about um, the images in medieval art, which at an hour and 40 minutes into the documentary is the first thing that they mention that's really worth noting as actual evidence. It's interesting that they put it near the end like that. Probably because they realize that their argument really isn't very good. What they're doing is what you expect them to do. They're saying, an expert on medieval art would know that these are representations of astronomical objects, or represent angels. Okay, but you're not asking the question of where the connection came from, where the idea of beings coming from the sky is. The idea of tying these images and the imagery, broadly speaking, to extraterrestrials is not debunked by pointing out that they're angels. That's the very question itself. The hypothesis is that our concept of angels is a confused representation of extraterrestrial contact. That is, that the reason we conceive of angels is because angels were aliens. So to point out that they're pictures of aliens, or sorry, to point out that they're pictures of angels, does not in any way debunk the idea that they're aliens, because the premise, the hypothesis, is that angels and aliens are the same thing. So I mean, this is. I think a lot of what he pointed out here. I mean, these are very facile arguments that he attacked. Levitating blocks and melting stones, and I mean, it's all a lot of nonsense, right? It didn't really need to be debunked, and it really didn't take a lot of effort to demonstrate that it was ridiculous, because anybody with a basic sense of thinking can see that it's ridiculous. But on this particular point, this documentary is spectacularly missing the point. And I'll have to see as it goes on whether they approach more of these sources in mythology, and if they do, if they continue to try to write it off like this. It's not even wrong. It's just they're not addressing the question. They're really stating the premise. Okay, so as it turns out, there's an entire chapter devoted to myths, which is good, because this is what I want to see. Now, before I get into this, I want to. I haven't started. Well, I watched the first couple of seconds and I rewound it. I'm done eating, so this will be a next meal project.
But I just want to get down um, what my idea of ancient contact is, because I'm getting the impression that this is debunking something that is well outside the realm of what I would consider worth thinking about, or is maybe even just not getting the point. If what they're proposing, or if they want to debunk the idea that there were, you know, that there was extraterrestrial contact in the past, because all of these ideas and memes can be explained as mythical representations of ideas in the Bible, then that's not an argument that gets anywhere. Um, what the problem we have before us, and what the hypothesis, what we're trying to do, is we're trying to find a naturalistic explanation for the stories in the Bible, that go beyond, this is just somebody's imagination. Um, what we want to do is we want to say, okay, so there is this story in the Bible, and it talks about, and it's not just the Bible, other traditions as well, but let's stay with the Bible because um, I come from an atheist background, but I live in a Judeo-Christian culture, and most of the people around me are vaguely Judeo-Christian in some way, and they speak with Judeo-Christians, and when they go outside of that, the furthest that they go is to Muslims, which have the same ideas. But I mean, you can see the same ideas in Hindu uh, scripture. You see the same ideas in um, the only thing I can really say for sure is that like these ideas are in the Vedas. Um, of these, the Vedas practically talk about a UFO invasion. Um, although I mean it's not to be taken literally either, but the point being that the motive of angelic beings, angels, or spirits in the sky coming down to us, is the question that we're looking to explore, not the way to debunk that it ever occurred. It's missing the point. So if that's what ends up happening, um, I'm sorry, but you're not really understanding what's going on. So let me be clear. I'm not. I don't think I was entirely clear. So let's be clear about what it is that I would suggest is plausible. Okay. What I'm suggesting is plausible is that the reason that we have stories about angels and spiritual beings in the sky, and things coming down from the sky, people going up into the sky, and all of these things is because it's a memory of that actually occurring. And so any representation that you see in a religious context may be a memory of something that has that naturalistic explanation. Okay, now let's be clear about 2 points. One, religion is never a naturalistic explanation. Okay, and two, aliens are a naturalistic explanation. There's nothing supernatural or mystical about an alien. Okay, it's a life form that evolved on another planet, got into a spacecraft. Like I said a few times, would have to be extremely long lived, but it physically moved from one place to another. Okay, there's nothing supernatural about that. It's a completely natural phenomenon. The supernatural phenomenon, the mysticism, is the Bible. So one does not debunk a natural explanation by saying that it correlates with mysticism. Rather, one debunks mysticism by providing a naturalistic explanation. Now, two more thoughts about this. um, I don't know who this guy is or what his motives are, but I could certainly see why it is that a religious group would want to debunk this sort of thinking, either by presenting ridiculous hypotheses, like you're seeing in the series that this video is debunking, um, or perhaps by presenting the kinds of arguments that I'm seeing here. Um, the flip side of that is that it could very well just be um, sort of innocent, nose leading kind of thing. But I have to be clear that I have a really hard time understanding how anybody could say, well, this story in the Bible um, is a better explanation unless they're coming at this from a theistic perspective. Unless they're saying that we don't need aliens to explain this because we have the Bible. When rather it's the other way around. And what an atheist would need to have, so somebody that wants to approach these religious texts as perhaps symbolic fiction, but fiction nonetheless, what they would say is that we need something to explain the Bible. And so aliens are a natural way for us to explain the Bible, rather than we don't need aliens to explain this because the Bible does. It's the logic is just warped. And that goes back to what I was saying, is that you have to really be able to separate yourself from a theistic perspective and really be able to assert a fully atheistic worldview in order to really approach these kinds of things properly. Now, of course, I'm not. I'm. My entire debate is existing in a hypothetical space. Um, None of this proves anything. None of this can prove anything. It's purely hypothetical, and that's really all I wish to present is the idea that it is a valid hypothesis, and one that should not be immediately discarded. Really, one that um, is a perfectly good and maybe, well, I would argue the best that I've heard naturalistic explanation for the preponderance of sky themes in human mythology. Um, why did we create religion? Um, this might help us understand that question, or the answer to that question. Why are we always, why is this so central in so much of the religious thinking? This idea of skies and moving up to the sky and communicating with beings from the skies? Maybe there was something to it. And maybe if you analyze it carefully, um, you might be able to see little bits and pieces that might help us to build a theory that could ultimately be confirmed. See, I say ultimately confirmed because that's the problem, is that what I'm proposing to you is not falsifiable. Um, Meaning it can never be proven wrong. In a lot of scientific fields, if something is not falsifiable, that's a big problem. The issue of human origins, I don't. The It doesn't bother me as much. The fact that this can't be proven wrong doesn't lead me to the conclusion that I should think that it's not something that should be taken seriously. Because it does seem to provide a naturalistic explanation for a broad concept of things And the positive, um, and this is where, I mean, I actually agree with the UFO cultists, or the New Age, you know, goofs, these New Age goofs. I was trying to say gobbledygook, and I came out as saying gook, and I had to stop myself because I didn't want that to be misinterpreted. But all this New Age gobbledygook, um, is the idea that if we can move beyond, traditional religion, um, well, we need to move beyond traditional religion, to enter, um, into a new era of civilization. Um, and I do think that, something at this kind of level is really necessary to disarm religion. Um, the various theories that we have about why we have religion, why we created it, what its purpose is, are not strong enough to, neutralize it, to really, debunk it, because there really isn't a naturalistic explanation for it. Um, they're just kind of lofty hypotheses. You know, maybe we saw this and we thought that. Um, the one thing that is naturalistic is to actually tie it to some kind of phenomena. Um, and it's really the only hypothesis that I've seen so far that is satisfying, in that respect. Um, but I mean, not. It's neither something you can prove nor something you can prove false. It's just, I think, absolutely prudent that it's not, discarded, offhand as nonsense. And like I say, I think I think the disconnect is that people look at aliens as a supernatural idea, um, when they should be conceived of, and interpreted as a fully naturalistic, um, idea and a naturalistic explanation, of, um, superstitious concepts. Um, the one thing that could really, kind of get me out of this kind of thinking would be something more compelling would have to be demonstrated to me, as to the origin of the sky myths. Um, things I've seen and heard, regarding thunder or, uh, being stuck in the elements, the heights of mountains. These things don't convince me much. They're just not compelling. Um, and I think that, one way or the other, um, finding an answer to that question, why is it that we focus so much on the sky, um, is really fundamental to understanding what this religion thing is, why we created it, and why does it so many people have such a hard time letting it go. But, I'm gonna watch, the rest of this, I guess, probably for the rest of the week, or the bulk of it, anyways. This is a long video, and hopefully, it gets beyond, this kind of, broken thinking that it seems like it's stuck in, um, because it's not. it's saying this motive in the Bible or this motive in Renaissance painting is explained by the fact that it looks like angels, or that we understand that it comes from, analysis to angels. It does nothing to disarm the idea that religion, as we understand it, is a UFO cult, and that being the basic premise. And of course, as I stated, if you are approaching the situation from a religious perspective, that thought would never cross your mind. You would think of the religion as true and the UFO as an exotic explanation, whereas the atheist and the rationalist is going to look at it the opposite way. They're going to look at the extraterrestrial contact as the rationalistic, naturalistic explanation, and your religion as the exotic, supernatural, confused mythical memory that needs to be sorted out and fixed up. So I hope at least that I made myself clear as to exactly what hypothesis it is that I consider worth contemplating, and maybe even worth believing, and what it is that I think is nonsense, and why it is that the prognosis for this video as a means to modify my approach to things is not high, because it doesn't look to me like it really understands the basic argument that's being presented to it. And this is the inside of another Kleenex box. So that's 2 Kleenex boxes thrown out. Well, I mean, I can't say I've gone through 2 because the first one was already partly gone through. So it's quite a bit of Kleenex, though, I'll acknowledge that. A lot more than I'm used to. The fundamental problem is with the slobbery slime coming out of my throat. If that recedes, as I hope it does, then I think I will stop too. I forgot to stop this again. It's too late now. I'll have to go back into that after, but I've got some stuff to watch. I'm going to clear my camera off again by the end of the night anyways, and then get back to clearing the page off, as I was doing before. So it's around 7 o'clock, and I've made a slight swapperoo here. I decided I had to get out of bed. I've been in bed for over a month, and it was just getting to a point where I just had to get up and do something. But at the same time, weird. But at the same time, it was pretty abundantly clear to me that what I was doing had to be done on this machine. So I have moved my laptop from my bed into my music room, which is still completely disassembled, and it makes me very sad that it is, but I at least know that I can reassemble it quickly, which is very different than the reality in the past. After I finish, I'm just looking at the wall there. Seems like the separation. Well, there's a black cord there, but there seems to be little pockets of spaces for things to hide in under there. I don't think that any of the bad bugs could live in there because there's not enough water. But I have seen some beneficial insects hanging out there. Um, and I'm also a little bit concerned about the darkness of the um, connectors. Maybe a little bit moldy. Like I say, it's a good place. It's a good thing I don't own this place, or a good thing I didn't buy this place. Um, it's probably not actually legal for anyone to be living down here. But whatever, I don't care. It's cheap. That's what I care about. Yeah. After I finish clearing out the Death to Koalas page, I'm gonna need to be clearing out my browser. And clearing out the browser is something that's specific to this machine. Um, and if I start playing with the Death to Koalas page on the other machine, then I'm sort of corrupting the browser space, which is a bad idea. So because I want to keep these things separate, I need to be working on this machine still for the foreseeable future sort of thing. But then I'm in bed for another week or 2 weeks, and I don't want that. So if I'm up and I'm awake, I think it'll kind of like change my whole demeanor sort of thing. Just the act of sitting up is really a revolutionary act when you've been lying down for so long. So we're gonna have the bipedal revolution here. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna prove I'm human. Although I suppose I'm gonna sit right back down, aren't I? You can imagine the the evolution graphic. Where you've got your monkey there and stands up and then hunches right back over to the computer. It does seem like that's what I'm doing right now, but it's progress, and it's gonna stick like this. This is my computer. This is my internet access. This is where I'm gonna be until I get this cleared off. So that means my bed. Well, I've got my blankie in here because it actually warmed up in here. I didn't have to turn the heat on, although I had the computer on all night because I was planning on moving over last night, and that's what made the difference. Perhaps moving. I mean, the laptop's not going to throw off as much heat as that's a big machine. We went over that. It's a nice. That's going to create some heat, but and you can imagine, when I'm actually really creating something in here, I've got the computer going, I've got the mixer running, I might have, the pod running with that little tube preamp I have throws out tons of heat, so it can get hot in here, which is fine. It turns the heater off. In fact, the strange thing is that the heater's been on in here. The truth is that if I had the computer on here in the last month, the heater wouldn't have been on at all. And if I'm sitting in here, then the heater will probably just turn itself off on its own, or be on very, very, very minimally. Right? It's getting cold this weekend, so that might turn it on. Anyways, I'm babbling. I'm moving over, which means that my bedroom is now just my bedroom. It looks very strange without a computer there. Although that's why I've got that space in the corner, because I wanted to put the desk there. I'm babbling. I'm just gonna start talking, or I'm gonna stop talking and start working. Something else that's nice about sitting up and being able to move over there is that I can have my coffee in front of me. It's been weird because I won't bring my coffee in there because I've spilled it a few times. So I leave my coffee over here and I have to get up whenever I want a cup of coffee and sit over. And that might be part of the reason why I'm like half asleep, because I'm drinking a third of as much coffee as I normally would because it's not in front of me. Bringing the coffee right in front of me means I can actually just swig it when I want it. This is
I know it seems minor and trivial, but like I say, I've been on my back or my stomach for a month, more than a month, nonstop, and just getting up is so huge. um, Even if if what I'm doing is the same thing I would be doing if I was lying down, just sitting up is long overdue. But at the same time, I didn't get my shower in, and I didn't move from the other computer, but I'm sitting up, and that's symbolic. So this is my swap over. This is my switch over. Um, my transition, my turnover, done. No more smoking. Let's see how much I can get done in what is now 36 hours before I head to the show on Thursday.